Me? No, Lily, thank God. He has never even heard your name. But, Nico, why so serious? Why should you offer up thanks because I am a Miss Nobody of nowhere, whom no one ever even heard of, as you say? Evidently the two were bent on some more definite object than a mere stroll in the park, for they had turned in the direction of Stanhope Gate, without any discussion as to the route they should follow. The girl, tall, slim, and quietly attired, moved with an easy, supple elegance. She was young, not yet 20, and youth is naturally graceful, but the expert eye would determine at a glance that she was a dancer, and in all probability an uncommonly good one. A blue serge costume, neat gloves and boots, and a hat by no means flamboyant in style or size showed that Miss Lily Paradora Theatre did not share the average taste of her class for bizarre garments. Despite her youth, she had graduated in the hard academy of pantomime and music hall, and her companion's fervour with regard to her professional insignificance was hardly justified, since it was no small achievement that she should have won her way already through the most closely guarded stage door in London. The rounded brows over the big, earnest eyes she had raised to her escort's face showed that she was surprised, perhaps a trifle resentful of his tone, and a slight wave of colour heightened and glorified her somewhat pale cheeks. Always pretty, Lily Paradale had suddenly become beautiful, and had Captain Jays been more finely observant, he might have made the delightful discovery that a bright intelligence was her greatest charm. But he could only feel that he had somehow struck a false note, and he hastened to correct the blunder. "I didn't mean that, Lily, and you're merely teasing me by pretending that you think otherwise," he said. "In fact, poor old Stidolf's remarks ran in a precisely contrary sense. I was grumbling about the difficulty a really smart girl encounters in making a start, in raising herself above the common level, that is, but he stuck out that the stage does really offer la carrière ouverte au talent. How are you getting on with your French?" "Well, enough to understand that," she said gleefully. "And your friend is right, Nico. Not that he, let me see, didn't he marry Dolly Enser?" "Yes." "Why do you say yes in that way?" "Because the Honourable Arthur used to be such a smart chap in my time at Sandhurst. Now he's a back number." "He should have done more with his life than simply marry a woman who happened to be a bit of a celebrity. Why didn't he make a career for himself?" Happily Jays had tact enough to check the imminent explanation. "He rather lost touch with soldering, I fancy," he said. But the girl's sharp ears had caught the pause, the careful weighing of the reply before it was uttered. "Was it because he married an actress?" she demanded, quickly. "Good gracious, no. There's no bar to social progress nowadays." Some mischievous thought danced in the girl's eyes, which continued to search her friend's sunburned face inquisitively. "Lots of our high kickers marry lords, which is a cut above an honourable, I suppose." She seemed to be musing aloud, but there was no uncertainty in the succeeding question. "Say if I made a hit, and all the giddy young gadders about town began chasing me." "May I smoke?" said Chase. "Yes, but answer me." "I would be pleased, of course, and frantically jealous, equally, of course. Now, let's chuck problems and admire the flowers. We cross here. The beds begin at the other side of Stanhope Gate." "Nico, I'm serious. As to the hit, at any rate, I have been given my chance." "What do you mean? Has that silly little ass, Lionel Groper, been filling your head with nonsense?" The stalwart captain's voice had grown harsh. He knew that this charming girl was flirting with him innocently, leading him on, and he hated himself for the miserable truckling to convention which held him back from the supreme step of asking her to be his wife. "Please don't call Uncle Lal rude names," said Lily. though the tremendous news, which she could no longer retain, choked down the resentment she would certainly have expressed at any other time, the ill-tempered reference to Roper was quite unwarranted, since he had proved to be a real friend to herself and her mother. "I'm thoroughly in earnest. Maury Cooling, our business manager, you know, was growling the other night about the lack of go in the Duchess of Brixton, and Vincent Bland, the composer, he really is a duck. All the girls love him. Remembered that I sang a little ballad rather well one night in the Canterbury, and what do you think? He has written me a song, full stage, with chorus. I'm rehearsing it today for the first time, and I really do believe it will catch on." The concluding words rose in a crescendo of excitement, and for once she was blind to the scowl on her companion's face. Matters had come to that pitch. He was furiously dull into prominence, lest his own dog-in-the-manger policy should be endangered. But he had the sense and good breeding to conceal his feelings for the hour. "By Jove, I congratulate you, Lil," he managed to stammer. "Is it a decent sort of song? What's the air like?" "Oh, it goes with a splendid swing, and it has such a jolly catchword. I'm supposed to be the Mind the Paint girl. This is the chorus of the first verse. Mind the paint, no matter whether Maple's bills are settled or they ain't. Once you smear it or you scratch it, it's impossible to match it. So take care, please, of the paint. Isn't it great? Can't you hear it on the barrel organs? If only I work it up as I think I can, it will go through town like the flu. I work it up as I think I can, it will go through town like the flu." Jays pulled her out of the way of a noiseless electric brougham. In her enthusiasm, Lily had forgotten her surroundings. Though she was only humming a refrain, her artist's eyes were gazing at a dim and crowded house beyond the footlights. She heard the subdued strains of the orchestra. She watched the conductor's uplifted baton. This was her opportunity, and she must seize it with both hands, now. The motor stole past with silent speed. It had crept too near, and might have knocked her down, but for Jays's prompt help. Yet Lily Paradell was still seeing visions, and being a vivacious young lady, she laughed at the careless chauffeur. "Mind the paint," she cried, and a bewhiskered face, crowned by a silk hat, was framed for an instant in the broughams window. Oh dear, she sighed. "Now I've gone and done it. That was Carlton Smythe. Whatever will he think of me?" To her, the manager of the Pandora Theatre was a tremendous deity, throned high on some peak of the thespian Olympus. In reality, he was a shrewd and cautious judge of public taste in musical comedy, and he was thinking that if the girl would only throw as much animation